Hey James, how's it going? I just wanted to check how the views went ever since you had me on as a guest for Roll for Insight. James, you okay? Could it be that it didn't go well?
No, Bruno. I've lost followers.
Oh, okay. No, look, it's okay. I got it. I know how to get people back in. So, you know how my system's gonna have a D30? You know, it's gonna be based on a D30. I'm gonna make like this 30-minute video about a D30. It is sure to bring people back. And did, did you just pull an X card on me? You? You pulled an X card?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. You can imagine how bad, how terrible, how awful it's gotten if I am resorting to these things.
Okay, look. Okay, look. How about I just like answer the last question you sent me, and then I finish like talking about the last few books that I wanted to recommend to people, and how about that?
Fine, fine, fine. You can do one more, and that's it.
Yes.
What aren't we talking about or doing in gaming that we should be?
Hello, my fellow reprobates. We have come to the last episode where, I guess, for all for insight, um, stepping into, in fact, the beginning of the next guest because I couldn't send this fast enough. So, what I'm going to do in this video is just answer the last question that was given to me by James, and then I'm going to end with the last few books that I wanted to talk about, as I mentioned in the intro. So, the last question was, because I can never prepare these before I start filming for whatever reason. Um, what aren't we doing or talking about in gaming that we should be? Okay. So, it's not that no one talks about it. I mean, online everyone talks about everything, so it's impossible for me to shock everyone with an idea that no one discussed before. But I feel like it's more of a comment in passing, and no, I don't see any initiative. I don't see any proactiveness in this and solving. I don't know where we would start solving it, but I guess I'll bring it up. It's everyone mentioning how awesome Google Plus was for tabletop role playing games as a social media platform. It was just perfect, you know. It was a perfect combination of open to for people to join, but you could kind of like, this is the page for this kind of topic. So it was easy for, and then you could also create private pages, but or what groups, whatever they were called. I don't remember anymore. Rooms. I don't remember what they were called, but it was just like this perfect combination. Then you could do streaming and record in the same platform. It was just amazing for that. And we never recovered from that. And I find that the platforms have been either unsuccessful, too isolated, or too angry at each other because we can't isolate things anymore. But or to for example, Discord is too isolated. Like, you need an invitation, you need to know about the Discord. Like, you can just like search it, or it's not intuitive if you can, because I don't know if you can. It's too private. Discord is fun, but it doesn't serve the purpose of being this replacement for Google Plus, where in the modern era you can have something that can join people online without having them be at each other's throats. You know, like whatever opinion someone has, it's like, oh, you should respect the rules, and because of this, and this is my opinion, blah blah blah. Or someone saying you should not care about the rules, and then they kind of like attack each other as if it was personal on Twitter. Instagram's obviously, you can, the irony of Instagram is you can write as long as you want to write. As far as there's this guy I follow on Instagram, John Danaher, who's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach, and it's kind of funny because he puts some image, but then followed by like a long, at least on by Instagram standards, text about his opinions on Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and, the sport and the martial art. And ironically, Instagram has enough room to write as much as you want, unlike Twitter, but I guess it's known as the image app, so no one uses it really for that. Blogs in this day and age, where a link to a blog seemed intuitive and relevant and appropriate on G Plus, for whatever reason, on Twitter it just doesn't work like that. Because I think the algorithm and the way Twitter works, like, it wants you to scroll and interact. You don't go to a room and then look what people posted there. It's like everything is on that, like, just random tweets on that page dashboard. So it's less, people are less inclined to click on an exterior link because it's designed to keep you there and keep you scrolling, right? Whereas Google Plus was just this place you went to the room to read about this topic. So blogs were the best medium. You would put the link to your blog. And there was such a thing still as following blogs back then. It was still mainstream. It wasn't like this rare thing to do. So we never replaced it. And don't get me wrong, the whole streaming on Google Plus, directly recording on, that was useful, but that's not the end of the world not having that. However, we have not found that platform yet. And it's not because it's like all the new platforms that come on, none of them are good for this. It's kind of ironic because Google Plus was not embraced by, I don't think it was embraced by any community that I know of except the tabletop role playing game community. It wasn't embraced by, like, that I know of, professionals who wanted to announce their work. It wasn't embraced by athletes or sports people that much. It wasn't embraced, but, like, I think just tabletop role playing, like, it's just a combination of what it was. You could share your ideas in depth, not just a quick the concept, but just write your blog about everything you wanted to say about a subject matter. People could find each other easily, but go to the rooms they were interested in. Because one thing is, like, you can come across a tweet that's like, oh, I don't like this or this, and then you can start disagreeing with it, and the Twitter algorithm is made for people arguing. And this is a thing why I think Threads is catching on, is people are tired of fighting, and the Threads algorithm doesn't seem designed to have people argue with each other, at least not yet. But beside the point, because again, Threads does the same thing Twitter does, really, as far as the format is. So no one's talking about the why Google Plus worked beyond very quick mentions. They don't go into the analysis of it. And what I think we should go back to blogs, which I don't know how you do it exactly. I don't know how you go about it. And this is gonna sound like the early days of the internet, and maybe just like it used to be, like, when pages of a same topic, because the internet was scattered back then. So pages of the same topic, like, people would just use some basic. Oh wow, is it HTML? Wow, I forgot what it was. You'd write in the codes, copy paste, or write, like, what you wanted it to do. You just, like, people would be in a ring, I think it was called, where at the bottom of your page you have a link to the next website that had joined this ring of the same topic. So, like, let's say we're looking at Star Wars stuff, and it would take you all over the internet, different websites, just based on that topic. And I feel like, in a weird way, we should go back to that, or I don't know what format it takes, but it's just, again, there's nothing out there that has this mix of easy to find, but you can go to what you want to be doing without mixing with other stuff. Twitter feed is so many things. It's not, whereas Google Plus, you log in and this is the room for this game, for this game, for this topic, for this hobby, and you go there and it's that. Um, yeah, but again, I almost feel like I'm cheating by choosing this answer, because there's, like, it's not like one of us can create a platform, right? Um, and I wonder, is there something like that out there? I actually co-host. I don't know if it has a character limit, but even then, it's not the same. You don't have rooms. But I think that was the thing. Discord kind of does it, but Discord is too like isolated and private. You have to like it's like you have to find a Discord. It's not the same, and then it's a chat. It's not easy to find stuff. It's not, you can go back to old posts easily, and so there's no such thing like where you can have things categorized to what you wanted to look at, to what you wanted to do, and it's just such a loss for our community. And we've been at war ever since, really. It used to be people arguing about tabletop role playing games. You had to go to the threads. You had to go looking for a fight. Um, you didn't fight so much on Google Plus, because like why would you go to a room to do that? You know what I mean? Like there's a psychological barrier there, and then you have moderators who put an end to that stuff. Like, yeah, and it wasn't like this. Like, and when I say moderators, like you had different rooms, and some rooms will let you say what you want, or so you could also find your own like niche. Um, you know, how far do you want conversations to go? How far can people go off topic? Or what are the rules on posting ads and all that? All these things were just, you just found the places you wanted to join, the groups or whatever they were called, rooms, groups. There's no other thing like it. It's just sad. Um, and if anyone knows of a similar like social media that has those things or similar, like please post them in the comments. It doesn't matter how unpopular they are. We need to find it. We need to find, or we need to find a solution for this, because it's a miserable experience. Like you can't, any platform there, you can't share your ideas and details. It's hard to rip people out of that stream of Twitter or whatever, like because they're already doing something else. It's hard to take them out of there. It's why a lot of channels might have a big following on Twitter, but they don't have a lot of subscribers on their channel, because people like follow your social media account, but then like asking them to tap on the link and like remove themselves from what they were gonna see next. You know what I mean? So it creates that mental block. Most people don't. Like you can have a big, you can have a big following. Gotta plug my laptop. Sorry. Like Chronicles of Crimson Hound has a fairly like hundreds of people following it on Twitter, but I think under 30 subscribers on YouTube. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Moving on to the what I wanted to mention. So what I would recommend is the World of Darkness up to the 20th anniversary versions. I actually don't recommend the Modern World of Darkness. I'm sorry. Um, so the ones I have, like a Hunter the Reckoning, Vampire the Masquerade, from the first edition all the way to the 20th anniversary, I would strongly recommend. I don't recommend Vampire Fifth, and Raid the Oblivion. I've never played, just read. Well, I played like a one session, and it was already kind of depressing to play, but very good game. Well, I don't recommend the newer ones. So this is gonna sound a bit complex, but while I agree with modernizing things, because we learn things over time. So, for example, certain terms, certain things that were being used in the old World of Darkness books was actually offensive to certain cultures, or was like didn't fit at all. It didn't like, it's kind of like people walking around with a Chinese tattoo, and the tattoo says soup. Something silly like that, where it's like no one from that culture would name themselves that, or this wouldn't fit like this. Like, for example, I would never think to bring back Kindred of the East. That was an awful, awful, awful thing, awful supplement. Um, I mean, there is passion for sure, but it was so badly done. I don't care if you're a fan. Like, I'm not gonna go like after you or anything like that. If you're a fan of those books, I do understand. I think you were more of a fan of the energy it had, or how it was very original in many ways, even though based on misunderstood Asian culture and pop culture. But there's things that for sure, like I think, are best left in the past. However, what I appreciate about the World of Darkness is that it did take the hobby as an art I did take the hobby as something serious that could discuss serious subject matters. Um, and Yeah, I think that's been lost. I think they've become cowardly. Like, and there's a group of people who claim that people who complain about that are actually like very right wing or or even alt right and stuff like that. Like, I'm not right wing at all. I just think that that's a whole mess. If you want to look at Vampire Fifth Edition and all the mess that happened. Um, and I mean, someone who covered it in the blogs. I don't like this person personally, but Zach Smith covered it pretty well in his blog, D&D with Porn Stars. For those blogs have nothing to do with porn stars. It's just a title. I mean, those specific blogs of Vampire the Masquerade. The problem is that, like for example, you don't like Vampire Fifth Edition doesn't make the Sabbath characters vampires playable anymore, which were like the more evil vampires, because you're playing monsters already. So they're and there's a lot of things where they just conceded to moral panics, and that's where you get a bunch of people. Oh, why would you want to play bad guys? And what's wrong with you? Like, and all that hypocritical stuff. All that moral panicky stuff. And no one asks Tarantino why he makes movies on certain topics. Well, no one asks, like, you know, I don't know. So many mainstream movies have subject matters that these people would not want in role playing games. And basically, what it boils down to is like it doesn't respect the role playing as an art form, which I think it is. Um, and an art form should dwell into any subject matter people want to dwell into. It doesn't mean that you have to dwell into it, but let other people dwell into it. The same way that, look, movies are going to talk about a lot of stuff. You don't have to watch all the movies. You don't have to watch the movies that make you uncomfortable. But it doesn't mean that you're going to shut down the violence in Tarantino movies, or like whatever the case may be. Like, if you look at all the transgressive cinema, like David Lynch, and uh, I mean, I don't even know if David Lynch is transgressive by today's standards, but um, something making you uncomfortable doesn't mean you get to tell others not to watch the movie. So why are role playing games under this like yoke? Anyway, I'm going back to a previous video I made basically in this rant, but I just like that the World of Darkness was like, yeah, we're gonna treat this as an art form. You're gonna explore darker material and all that. And then it was kind of interesting when Fifth Edition came by and people were panicking. They were just trying to explain again, like, look, we just want to explore these topics, but in exploring them, we also understand good and evil. And it's not about glorifying evil at all. It's just like, so they were trying to explain, like, we're trying to take this as an art form, but they were trying to explain this to like um, children, basically, like people who might be adults in theory, but they had the emotional maturity of children, and they, but the zeal and passion of a witch hunter and going after people, and accusing like Jewish writers of being, who worked for the book, of being Nazis, like Jewish writers. Like, how crazy is that? That they would be called that. And they just conceded. They just conceded over and over. And again, this is not to say that I don't think that everything should be kept as it was. I think things should be modernized, but, and this is, maybe that makes me a centrist in this matter, because there's a lot of people, no, you don't concede, you don't change anything. And other people are like, as soon as this was a problem in the past, you don't touch it anymore. I am somewhere in the middle, where I think no topic should be off limits if you want to discuss it. Look, you might touch on a topic that I don't want to get anywhere close to it. It makes me uncomfortable, but if you want to go there, do it. Um, but it's just, you can modernize the thing, but you should be able to talk about anything because it's an art form. An art form should not be limited. Yes, it can be sensitive to things, to things changing and understanding the world better, and we're in a new era of the internet connecting, and cultures understanding each other more than ever, and being able to easily tell, hey, this thing you wrote actually makes no sense for us or is offensive for us, and this is why you should understand this. Oh, okay, cool. And we go from there. You know, if the Assamites from Vampire Masquerade, if the name made no sense, and now they're called something else. I don't remember the name right now, so I'm not gonna try to remember it and get it wrong. But now it's a name that apparently makes more sense for real world languages and cultures. That's fine. I know that James Desborough has complained about the Assamites no longer being called that, but apparently, like, I looked into it, and it made sense to change the name because the name didn't make sense in the first place. And the world of art is supposed to be in the real world, right? So it's supposed to fit the real world. So okay. So again, I think Internet of These should be left in the past. That's something that if you want to do a game about like vampires in the East, that concept needs to be completely redone. But it doesn't mean you don't do a book of vampires in the East anymore, right? You can still do that. You just don't do it the same way. So this is my opinion. Like the Assamites, you change their names to the, oh my god, what was it anyway? And you can do these things like, in Werewolf the Apocalypse, they scrap completely the idea of the their offspring. Who I mean, I'm not gonna say their name because I don't know if there's YouTube algorithm that will do something, but um, the offspring of two Garus used to create this like mutated offspring, and there was like these themes about intolerance and stuff like that. And now they're no longer going to include it in World of the Apocalypse, but I find it cowardly. Now the name that those beings had, you can update that, sure, because I understand that that name has real world connotations mixed with real world people, and it's kind of like, can you tell this story without going for that word? Yeah, okay, just change the word, find or update certain things, but to just shy away from the fact that, oh, the Garu, who are the heroes, can also have some intolerance in their group, and I think it's interesting to develop on that, to be like, okay, so this group is not perfect, and the players can be like against this intolerance. So I don't. It's not like the book forces you to be intolerant towards those characters, those mutated offspring, but the Garu society at large is. And to me, it's like, and before anyone complains, like, oh yeah, of course you'd say that. Like, I faced a lot of intolerance as a child. I'm not gonna go into my life story, but um, I have. I lived in a place where I was the only immigrant kid, so like I have faced a lot of stuff. So I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of feelings and personal experiences from these things. Not as much as there are people who obviously, have had it way harder than me. But I just mean to say, it's not like I'm ignorant of the topic of intolerance, And I, as someone who has experienced it, still think that it's something that in an art form merits discussion and observation. It's kind of funny how the same people who will claim like it's good that movies and TV shows, entertainment dwell in those subject matters of social inequalities and intolerance and all those things, don't want in their games. And that's hypocrisy, because that's basically you're saying, oh, role playing games are not an art form. And how come you applaud that in books, um, TV shows, movies? Like, oh yeah, they mentioned this, but then you don't want to explore it in the games. Like that doesn't make sense. You're an idiot if you say that. You're a hypocrite and intolerant and well, intolerant of real art, really. Um, and this is what I think. So I miss role playing games on art form. Now, James had a counter reaction to kind of like the censorship that the World of Darkness put upon themselves ever since Vampire 5th Edition, and he created actual living monsters, which is an interesting game. Um, it does not scratch the itch of the World of Darkness, but it does other stuff very interestingly. It's made for more shorter games because the monsters will quickly pay for the things they're doing, the evil acts. It's made about playing actual monsters committing evil acts, but it does not lend, the rules and the themes and all that do not lend to long term campaign, I don't think. unless you start tweaking the rules a lot. But like if we go with what's there, also it doesn't have any lore explored in depth, which is one of the attractions of the World of Darkness. Really, it's more open ended. It gives you more like it's more of a toolkit to create certain games. Um, a lot more low powered, but that's a bit beside the point. And also, I think because James was going to the counter reaction, he made it a lot more, I think, shocking in places. And yeah, so it's not exactly like I'm not saying like, oh, this will replace the World of Darkness itch, but I wanted to point this out that these are interesting books to check out. Um, and as far as I say, like people should be able to do what they want. It doesn't mean that I will personally go there or ask them to censor themselves. But for example, there's one of the sins that the monsters can have that I have literally, and people might criticize me for this, but I've actually put a black square over one of them because I knew that I never wanted to use it in the game, and I didn't even want to read it in the book. It's a topic I was like, oh no, no, I never want to run that. I never want to play that. I don't, I don't even want to see it when I flip through a book. At least So again, see, I practice what I preach. Never went, James, how could you put that in the book? No, it's just okay. It's not for me. I'm gonna put a black square here on the book, and yeah. But I wanted to mention that because I'm on James' channel, and this is kind of like his counter reaction to the censorship that the World of Darkness just accepted upon themselves. And this is the keyword accepted, because role playing games are an art form, and like any art form, if you accept the censorship, it will be if you start censoring yourself like that, like what I mean to say is, for example, Eminem. Is anyone gonna give him crap for the stuff he said in the '90s, for the stuff he did in the '90s and the 2000s? Like, no, everyone was like, well, it's Eminem. And if you go to Eminem, how could you say that? He's gonna go like, I don't give an F. But if you grab some squeaky clean actor and like, oh look, there's a video of you saying this in the '90s, 30 years ago, and they're like, oh well, oof, I'm really sorry, and then like they got him, they got him. Um, so, and by the way, a lot of stuff that Eminem said in the '90s was not okay to say. Just to be clear, I'm just giving an example that at the end of the day, a lot of how much you'll be affected by censorship has to do with how much you accept censorship. Um, Now, I'm not saying there's no consequences, but what I mean to say is we live in a free country. You can actually do and say what you want. So, and yeah, look, if you do and say things that I find horrible and despicable, at least I know who you are, right? Um, so I'm for it. I'm for people saying what they think, because then I know who they are, and I know who to stay away from if need be, and I know who to back. Role playing games are an art form, and the World of Darkness is to be commended for what it used to be. And I think all the way to 20th anniversary games, they're good. Even though some of the people I've worked in the 20th anniversary games, some of them I do find to be not so good people for different reasons, but I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, um, that's pretty much it. This was very ranty, but it's the last one. So if anyone wants to follow what I do, I have a I don't post often on it, but for the geek stuff, I have my channel YouTube, Bruno's Geek Reviews. Then, as mentioned previously, I have the Chronicles of the Crimson Hound channel on YouTube as well. It's my actual play, which I separate from the Bruno's Geek Reviews, and one I just talk about geek stuff, and one is just for the actual playing. I did make a channel for Outlandish Noir, my upcoming role playing system, but it has no videos yet. But if you don't look up Outlandish Noir and subscribe in advance for whatever will come eventually. Also, all of these, no, sorry, Chronicles of Crimson Hound, Outlandish Noir have their own social media. Um, And I am right now, and I have a talk show called the Bruno Galan Talk Show, which also has its social media YouTube account. I talk to people. I've actually had James twice on the show, and yeah, the talk show is about. I can invite anyone. I'll invite martial artists, geeks, writers, MCs. Like I talk to a lot of different people there. So yeah, thank you for watching the videos that I did for Roll for Insight. I wish I had thought of doing those little intro sketches earlier, but at least I did some of them for the last two episodes. And yeah, look, if you want to reach out to me, any of the social media I mentioned, most of them I have my messages unlocked. You can message me there, and I'll be glad to talk to you. Yeah, I'll try to over the next few weeks. I'll go over all the videos I did on James' channel. See the comments, reply. Don't be surprised if I reply from different accounts, whichever one I'm logged on. I might get replies from Rose Geek Reviews, from Outlandish Noir, from Chronicles of the Crimson Hell. Um, but you can, after a while, I'm not gonna like go back and check because I don't get notifications, right? Um, James is the one who gets them. So after a while, I'm gonna stop checking the comments. So if you wanna leave any comments to me personally, not just to James' channel, but if you wanna mention something where you'd like a reply from me or you would like me to know something, just reach out to me on any of those social media accounts. Okay, everyone, thank you for having watched my Roll for Insight videos. It's been really fun. James, thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry that I've been so slow at recording these and they've been like so far apart from each other to the point where now my last one is stepping onto the next guest after me. I apologize for that. And yeah, thank you for watching, everyone.